Thank you, Dash. Hopefully the tips and tricks will not be as difficult as saying that word. Kled got played 3 times yesterday. It's one of my favorite champs, so I wanted to share with you a couple cool tips and tricks that can be used at any level, all the way from pro to solo queue. So one of the first things I want to talk about is actually, as you're leveling up, you can actually hold on to your W skill point. So the reason that you do this is that it is a passive, so you can't control when it is being used except for the first time you level it up. Now, the reason you would want to do this is remounting is extremely important on Kled. So essentially, as you're going to get dismounted there, you then immediately would level up your W, allowing you to get a much quicker remount. That can be really powerful for all-ins. That can be really powerful for surviving against jungle ganks as well, and getting that all-critical remount. Next thing I really want to talk about is Joust. Most people know it has 2 activations. The one key thing you actually want to use when you're doing with Joust is you want to use your first activation, hold it a little bit, then use your second, because you can actually follow someone who uses flash, a dash, or anything along those lines. Pretty simple. One of the more kind of advanced things you can do with Joust is you can actually follow over some small walls. So since this target dummy can't dash, I'm gonna actually have to be the one to go back over the wall to show this, but I'll Joust on it, flash over the wall, and you can come back. So had they flashed over the wall, you could actually follow them in that way, which is pretty cool. The next thing I wanna kind of talk about here is actually some usage of the ultimate. So we'll go over to the Baron Pit, and I'll give you an example. If I sit over here and I try to ult towards this target dummy, you're gonna have to go all the way actually around that pit. But if you notice, there's a big circle basically that is your ultimate acquisition zone. So if you go right against the wall first, then you ult, you can actually follow people over the wall, which can be quite powerful. You can utilize that to follow someone who flashes over, or just as an engaged tool. Now, when you're combining these 2 tricks together, you can actually pull off some pretty cool things. If someone is dashing over a wall, then flashing over a wall, you can still continue to chase them. So you could do that, and then the next one can be ulted over. So you can actually, go over multiple walls essentially here, utilizing the ult and the second part of the Joust. Another thing that is very important is actually how to tower dive. When you dismount, you reset tower aggro. One of the mistakes I see a lot of people using on Kled is they'll actually target the ultimate wherever they're trying to go, exactly right on the champion, right? So yes, that does hit, but essentially if the person moves a little far back or a little bit to the side, you would actually miss them. The ultimate acquisition zone is actually quite wide, so you can actually, ult quite far back here and fairly far up, and you will still acquire someone who is under the turret. So that gives them much less of a way to actually escape. Essentially, even if they run to the side or flash away, there's no way for them to actually get away from that ult. Another cool thing that you can do here, this is fairly standard, but Q flash for a quicker acquisition. And you can also engage from actually quite far away with an EQ flash. So this person is essentially off my screen. You can EQ flash, even following that up with an ult for really cool little engage tools. You can even just snap the EQ flash, well, I missed there, unfortunately. But essentially you can do it from very far range and actually be able to get onto someone from really all the way across the screen. So Kled has a lot of really cool things that you can master. I'd also like to give a shout out to Soul Mario. He's a Kled one trick, streams on Twitch. I learned a lot from him, and there's so much more to learn about this wonderful champion. Check it out if you're interested. That's all from me. Back to you, Dash.